Hello all, this video is going to be for chapter 8 lesson 5, which is solving quadratic equations by graphing. So there are few ways which we could use solve quadratic equations, and by graphing is one of the methods which we could solve quadratic equations. So to get started, first of all, here we have to make sure that if the quadratic functions are in the correct standard form, that is, as by now all of us know that the quadratic function standard form is ax square plus bx plus c. So it must be in this form, only then we can start graphing. It will make it easy for us to do or solve everything step by step. Now this could be equal to 0, which means 0 could even be replaced by a y. So it doesn't matter whether it is 0 or if it's a y, or even if it is denoted by a function notation. It can be of any. So if there is a 0, do not worry, it just means that there is a y. So if I would rewrite this in the other way around, it's going to be y is equal to x squared minus 6x plus 9, because this is the usual way we look at the uh, quadratic equations. So what's the first step you need to do for graphing? The first step is you have to find the x-axis. That's the value of x. Now to find the value of x, we have a formula which is x is equal to negative b over 2a. This is the formula we'll be using to find the axis of symmetry. So whereas a is not there here, so the value of a is going to be 1, because we know by now in algebra, if there are no numbers in front of a variable, that means the value is going to be 1. So a is 1 and b is negative 6. So first let's find out the axis of symmetry, or the value of x. That's going to be negative b, that's b is already negative in the equation. So negative 6 over 2 multiplied by 1. Because a is 1, so 2 multiplied by 1, this would give you 6 over 2, which is equal to a 3. So the x-axis, when we draw, it's going to be right here, where x is equal to 3. Now using the same value of x is equal to 3, we will find the value of y. That would give us the vertex. So y is going to be equal to 3 square minus 6 multiplied by 3 plus 9, which would give you 3 square is 9, negative 18, 6 3s are 18, and plus 9. Now this would end up at 9 plus 9 is 18, 18 minus 18 is 0. So the value of y is going to be a 0. So the pair of coordinates, or the vertex we got, is 3, the value of x is 3, and the value of y is 0. First let's graph these two things so that we can have an idea what kind of graph is going to be. So let me do that with a different color so you can identify the difference. So x is equal to 3, that's the line of axis of symmetry is going to be like this. This is going to be an axis of symmetry. And then the coordinate, that's the vertex we got, is 3 0, which is here. So now you can identify this is going to be the vertex. Now once we have done this, we need to choose two of our own points, our own coordinates or values of x, to find out two more points so that we can draw the graph properly. Always it's better choose numbers less than the value of x-axis so that we can reflect them. Now x is 3, so let's take 2. Just substitute x is equal to 2, that's 2 square minus 6 multiplied by 2 plus 9, that would give you a 4, minus 12 plus 19, this would give you 4 plus 9 is 13, 13 minus 12 is going to give you a 1. So this is one of the pair of coordinates we have, 2 and 1. So 2 and 1 is going to be here. Now simply because this is the axis of symmetry, symmetry means it acts like a reflection. So if one of the point is here, reflected across the axis of symmetry, the next point is exactly going to be here. So the distance from the point which we drew to the symmetry, axis of symmetry, and then the same on the other side as well, just reflect the point. Now we need one more point, so let's take the value of 1, x is equal to 1, so y is equal to 1 square minus 6 multiplied by 1 plus 9. We are just substituting the value of x, that's x is equal to 1, in this formula, in this equation. Y is equal to 1 minus 6 plus 9. This would give you y is equal to 1 plus 9 is 10, 10 minus 6 is 4. So the next pair of coordinates we have is 1 and 4. That looks like a 2. It's not a 2, it's a 1. This is 1 and 4. So where are we going to graph this coordinate? Here it's 1 and this is 4. So again, reflect it to the other side. So from here, it's 2 units. So which means from here 2 units would be the reflection point. All what you've got to do is join the graph. So when you're joining, do be careful. It needs to be a U-shaped graph because we are drawing quadratic functions. So try your level best to keep it as U-shaped as possible, not a V because V comes for the shape of V comes for absolute value equations. So if you're drawing with a pencil, I guess it would be easier. So your graph should be having this kind of shape. As I told you, try to keep it as U-shaped as possible. Just curve it because we have to draw parabolas. It's called a parabola, so parabolas are in the shape of U. So this is how your graph should look. Now it doesn't mean that you only have to use the same values which I use for x. You can use 0, you can use any negative numbers, but better use the numbers which are less than the axis of symmetry. Using the same method, let's solve this one. X square equals 4. Now already I told you, always make sure that the equation is in the correct standard form. Now this question here is not in the correct standard form. So what do? We move the 4 to the other side. Leave the x square where it is. So rewrite the equation. That's x square minus 4 equals 0. This is the equation, quadratic equation you're going to solve. Now always first find the axis of symmetry, which is the value of x. So it's going to be minus b over 2a, but here b is missing. So which means if b is missing, that's a 0. Now if it's a 0, this is what you would end up with, which would eventually give you a 0 again. When the b is missing, simply say the value of x is 0. Simple as that. Now let's find the value of y. We found the value of x is 0. So y means y is going to be equal to x squared, that is 0 squared minus 4. This would give you 0 minus 4, which is going to give you a negative 4. So the coordinate, that's the vertex we have, is 0, negative 4. First, let's graph this. So when you are graphing, it needs to be the axis of symmetry first. So the axis of symmetry is at 0, which means it's here, right at the axis. And then we have one coordinate which is 0 and negative 4. So that's going to be here. Now let's find out two more points. Now here we got the axis of symmetry as 0. Let's take numbers less than 0. You could use negative 1, negative 2. So here I'm doing x. What will be the value if x is equal to negative 1? So y is going to be equal to negative 1 square minus 4. That would give you 1 minus 4, which is going to give you a negative 3, which means the pair of coordinates will be negative 1 and negative 3. Similarly, for x is equal to 2, x is equal to negative 2, replace x with negative 2. So negative 2 square minus 4. Negative 2 square is going to give you a positive 4. 4 minus 4 is going to give you a 0. So the coordinate pair you have is negative 2 and 0. So just plot the points now. First starting with negative 1 and 3. So negative 1 and negative 3. It's here. Reflect it along the axis of symmetry. So that next point would be here. The reflected point would be on this side. Then again for negative 2 and 0. Negative 2 and 0 is here. So reflect it. So that means this is the axis of reflection, the red color one. So from there the distance is 2, which means this side it's going to be 2 as well. Now just join your points. So when you're joining, again, repeatedly I'm telling you, try your best to keep it as a U-shaped parabola as possible. So This is your graph. It is an upward opening parabola because the equation itself is a positive. The value of a is positive. So from that you can find out whether your graph is going to be upward or downward. This is how your second graph should look like. If you want, you can keep extending it. You can take one more point and then find out, and then you can join the point there and extend your graph. So in the same way, we will try to solve this. Now again, the question is 2x squared plus 4x equals 6, which is again not in the correct standard form. All what you need to do is move the 6 to the other side. So the correct quadratic equation will be 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 equals y or equals 0. Both mean the same. Now, first you have to find the axis of symmetry, that is the value of x. So x is going to be negative b over 2a. From the equation, we know the value of b is 4 and the value of a is 2, which means it's going to be negative 4 over 2 multiplied by 2, which is going to give you a negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1. So the value of x is negative 1. Similarly, you will have to find the value of y using the value of x. In the same equation, substitute the value of x. So y is going to be equal to 2 multiplied by negative 1 square plus 4 multiplied by negative 1 minus 6 equals y. So this is going to be, first solve the parenthesis. 1 square is 1 plus 4 multiplied by negative 1 is going to give you a negative 4 minus 6. So which means it's going to be 2 minus 4 minus 6. So 2 minus 4 is going to give you a negative 2. Negative 2, negative 6 is going to give you a negative 8. So the value of y is negative 8. The ordered pair is going to be negative 1 and negative 8. First, always graph the axis of symmetry. So to graph the axis of symmetry, axis of symmetry is that x is equal to negative 1. So that's here. And then the coordinate we got, that's the vertex of the parabola, is going to be negative 1 and negative 8. So that's here. Now we got the axis of symmetry as negative 1. So we use two more numbers which are less than negative 1 to find the two other values which we could use to draw the parabola. Let's use x is equal to negative 2. So if you're using x is equal to negative 2, it's going to be 2 multiplied by negative 2 square plus 4 multiplied by negative 2 minus 6 equals y. So this is going to be 2 multiplied by 4 because negative 2 square is 4. Then again 4 multiplied by negative 2 would give you a negative 8. You have to be careful when you're solving the signs. This is going to be 8 minus 8 minus 6, which means 8 minus 8 is 0, 0 minus 6 is going to give you a negative 6. So the first pair of coordinates which we got by ourselves is negative 2 and negative 6. Similarly, we will do for x is equal to negative 3 or negative 4. It's totally up to you which number you want to choose. That's going to be y is equal to 2 negative 4 square plus 4 multiplied by negative 4 minus 6. Why did I choose negative 4? So that we will get a little bit further point. It will be easy for us to join the parabola. That's why I just skipped one and then chose the other one. This is going to be 2 multiplied by 16. Then multiplied by 16 because 4 multiplied by negative 4 will give you a negative 16, negative 6. This is going to be 32 minus 16 minus 6. 32 minus 16 is 16. 16 minus 6 is 10. Which would mean the next pair of coordinates we have is negative 4 and 10. So let's draw these points now. So we already drew the vertex. This is the vertex which we already drew. Negative 2, negative 6 is here. So reflect it along the axis of symmetry. The distance between the point and the axis of symmetry is just 1 unit. So the reflected point will be right here. So the next point we got was negative 4 and 10. So negative 4 is here. 10 is right here. So, and then reflect it along the axis of symmetry, 1, 2, so 1, 2 on this side as well. Now your parabola is going to be quite a narrow one, because you know, the more the value of a, the narrower the parabola becomes. Already I have said, try to make your parabola as curvy and U-shaped as possible. It's not possible for me because I'm not drawing it by hand. Keep the parabola a bit curvy like that. So this is how your graph for this equation, this quadratic equation, which is 2x squared plus 4x minus 6, is going to look like. Let's do question number 4. Now again, question number 4 is not in the correct quadratic formula, correct quadratic equation. So first rearrange it. If you rearrange it, it's going to be x squared minus 5x plus 10 equals y, or y equals, it's all the same. You could even keep it as it's 0, which means it's y equals. So the first thing always is find the axis of symmetry. So that's negative b over 2a. X is equal to negative b. Now b is already negative here. To avoid confusion, we put that inside the parenthesis over 2a, which is 1. This would give you 5 over 2, which is 2.5. So the axis of symmetry is at 2.5. Using this value of x, let's find out what's the value of y. Y is going to be equal to 2.5 square minus 5 multiplied by 2.5 plus 10. 2.5 square would give you a 6.25. Then 5 multiplied by negative 5 multiplied by 2.5 would give you 12.5. Negative 12.5 plus 10. 6.25 plus 10 would give you 16.25. 16.25 minus 12.5 is 3.75. So the value of y is going to be 3.75. The vertex, therefore, will be 2.5 and 3.75. First, let's draw the axis of symmetry. Always the axis of symmetry is the value of x, which is 2.5. That's here. So this is going to be the axis of symmetry. Now, yes, this is a bit tricky because the value of y is on points, which is 3.75, which is almost near 4. So this is going to be the vertex, not 2.5, not 3.5, which is in the middle, but a little bit above that, almost near 4. That's going to be like that. Now let's find the value of y using two more values of x. X is 2.5. We can use x is equal to 2. If you use x is equal to 2, your answer would be 2 square minus 5 multiplied by 2 plus 10, which means it's 4 minus 10 plus 10. Eventually would give you a 4. The coordinate is going to be 2, 4. And let's try for x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 0. Totally up to you. If you would use that, y is going to be 0 square minus 5 multiplied by 0 plus 10, which will be 0, 0, 10. So 0 minus 0 is 0, plus 10 will give you a 10. So the coordinates you have is 0 and 10. If you would have used 1, it's going to be 1 square minus 5 multiplied by 1 plus 10. That will be 1 minus 5 plus 10. So 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 10 is a 6. That means 1 and 6. Now I have got 3 points, so it will be easier for me to draw these points. So when x is 2, y is 4, so that is here. Reflect it across, that's just the distance of half, that will be here. Next is 1 and 6, 1 and 6 here. Reflected, so the distance is 1.5. Similarly, the next reflected point will be 1.5, equal distance. When x is 0, it's 10. here, then reflected 2.5. 2.5 if you reflect would be here. Now we are done with the parabola. The points, all you need to do is draw the parabola. When you're drawing the parabola, we try to make it as curvy as possible. This is how your parabola should look for this equation, which is x squared minus 5x plus 10. This the parabola, and the vertex is at negative 2.5 and 3 points. The vertex is at 2.5 and 3.75. So similarly, you will have to do the remaining. Now in these questions, yes, you need to write how many zeros are there. So accordingly, how many zeros are there? In this question, there are no zeros. So we say that there is no real solution. We say because the graph is not touching the x-axis, so we say that there is no real solution. Therefore, you need to remember if the graph is not touching the x-axis anyway, that's the parabola is not touching the x-axis, you need to say that there are no real solutions for the graph. Similarly, for the previous ones, here the parabola is touching the x-axis at 2 points. That's one here and one here. So you need to mention those 2 points. Now, if you would have drawn the graph properly, your graph would be a curvy one this way. So the graph would touch it at -3 and 1. Because I have not drawn this parabola properly, which you have to do. So you have to be careful when you're drawing these parabolas because that's what determines the values of x's. Similarly, in this, the value should be in 2 and -2. That's clear here, 2 and -2. And then here also, it's only one value, which is 3. It's only touching the x-axis at 3. Let's move on to the next question. Here they said water is shot straight up out of a water soaker toy. The quadratic function y is equal to -16x squared plus 32x models the height in feet of a water droplet after x seconds. How long is the water droplet in the air? Again, the same method you will use. You have to find the axis of symmetry, you have to find the vertex and then graph. Finally, you have to find when does this when are the water droplets coming back? Where it's touching the x-axis is how much time it takes for the water was in the air. To start with, here and one more thing you need to remember is the standard form for anything which goes up and comes down is t equals -16 square plus c, which means it could be c could be the height, and then -16 square is there, -16t square plus c. Now that's the standard formula, but for this question they have given this, so let's work out with this. First, find the axis of symmetry. X is going to be equal to -b over 2a, which means 32, -32 divided by -32 would give you a 1. So the value of axis of symmetry is 1. Using the same value, let's just substitute and find out the value of y. -16, 1 square plus 32 multiplied by 1. This is going to be a -16. 1 square is 1, so multiply by -16 is -16 plus 32. This is 16. 32 minus 16 is 16. So the vertex is going to be at 1 and 16. So first let's draw the axis of symmetry, which is 1. This is going to be your axis of symmetry, and the vertex is going to be 1 and 16. That's here. Now, of course, this graph is going to be a downward graph because something is going up and falling back. And also the value of a is negative here, so it's going to be a downward parabola. Now that we got 1, let's use some less than 1, so that's a 0. We can use the 0, but if you would start from 0, that would definitely be 0 because something starts always at 0. But we need some points to complete the graph. So let's take 0.5. So I'm using x is equal to 0.5. Just substitute the value, that's negative 16. 0.5 squared plus 32x, 32 multiplied by 0.5. So 0.5 square would give you 0.25. Negative 16 multiplied by 0.25 plus 32 multiplied by 0.5 would give you a 16. Now 16 multiplied by 0.25 is 4. So negative 4 plus 16, which is equal to a 12, which means 0.5 and 12. So 0.5 is exactly between 0 and 1, so 0.5 and 12, that's this point. So reflect it along the axis of symmetry, that would be somewhere here. And then you know that anything starts from 0, anything to be thrown or anything which goes up starts from the vertex. So the distance from the vertex to the axis of symmetry is 1. Similarly, that would end up here. Then just join the points. So to join the points, you will have to have a parabola which is downward moving. The one which I have drawn is not a correct one because it doesn't look like a parabola. Try your best with your free hands to create a parabola like that. Now, the question says, how long is the water droplet in the air? So from the start, that's 0, to come down, it has taken just 2 seconds. So the water droplet was in the air for 2 seconds. This is how you read the graph accordingly, from where it starts till it comes to an end. So how much time it took, that becomes the seconds. So hopefully you've got the answers right. If you have not, try to practice some more questions that will give you the correct answer, and try to draw the parabola as curvy as possible. So till we meet again in another video, keep practicing.